Hello. Alright, so this video is going to be about physics, a little bit about me. I am the founder of a space research and exploration company. Um, and where physics comes into play in this is that during research and the process of designing propulsion systems, a conundrum arose. So that conundrum is in dealing with the warp drive. Now, with the warp drive, we understand that with enough force, with enough energy, we can move something. That's what the Alcubierre warp drive the papers that were written explaining how it will work were explaining, and the insane amounts of energy that it would take for this to be feasible. And then even with Sonny White at NASA explaining a more viable version of this that would take, I believe, about the energy of the entire planet of Jupiter to power. Now, the issue that I believe that I have solved is this issue of, with enough force, we can move something, versus knowing exactly where we want to move that thing. So, in terms of the craft that we are moving, we don't want to just zap it, like zapping it with one of those electric tennis mittens, bats, or whatever you call them, rackets, and a fly, or a fly flying into an electric zapper, or tasing, or what have you. We don't want to just fry the thing. We need to know exactly where our craft is going, and that necessitates knowing energy requirements, fuel requirements, things such as this. And with this understanding of exactly knowing where we want our vehicle to go, we can be more efficient with our fuel use. So right now, a way of explaining this that I like to harken back to is looking at this in terms of a car driving down a road. And as of now, we know that a car can drive. We know that it is possible to achieve travel in space with the technology of a warp drive, which uses electromagnetism, or what can be described as supergravity, to affect travel. So this car is driving down the road, but here's the thing. This road, it is a tangled mess. Just think of your hair if you've got long hair, and it just being a ball, a big knot. That's what our understanding of this technology is at this point. So we've got this car that has all of these overpasses and intersections and roads, and it's literally trying to drive straight through these things. Now, a tremendous speed. Maybe it can be accomplished by a tank or a train. Simple fact of the matter is that it can be accomplished, which is why the Alcubierre papers, as well as Sonny White, his explanation why these have held up. Now, what I explain and have gone into great detail with this treatise that I have composed for this purpose of affecting a warp drive that will work within reasonable energy requirements, is knowing exactly where we want that vehicle, that car, to go. So let's just say we want that car. I'm from the DC region. So I-95. We want to go from Washington to Falls Church. So we can know exactly where that is on a map and set out straight there. And that's what's most important in the proceedings of the development of warp drive technology. It is using the resources that we've got, using the energy that we've got effectively. It's not that we don't have enough or don't know how to produce enough, it's just that we're not using it correctly. Now, what it will take is a very, very complicated program, computer, that can understand, the things that I explain here, which is interdimensional physics. This computer will need to be able to map dimensions at a sequential, fractional, interdimensional level, and with that create this multi-dimensional, very complex picture of what space-time looks like, so that the warp drive itself can be programmed to take the most efficient route to a specific location. So imagine your Garmin, or I guess that's old, right? Your iPhone, your Google Maps. Imagine this technology. But for the sake of explanation, for having an example, you've got Google Maps. I'm not sure if anyone uses Google Maps. So you've got Google Maps in 4D. It's holographic. You can see all around it, up and down, every axis you can think of. Now, picture this in a supercomputer. And this computer has all of this information, but it can see an axis that we can barely even comprehend. Now, why this is important is because these axes, as well as dimensions that are way above our level of understanding now, they most likely will provide an easier method and route and path of travel. These dimensions are likely the path of least resistance, the path of going from point A to point B instead of going from point A to point Z. So with this technology that my company will be working on in the upcoming years, we intend to achieve a feasible warp-capable vehicle. So in terms of energy, a best example for this is, imagine you have a car again, and you're taking that car and you're just driving. Now, you're not driving to any specific location. You're just driving. You know you're in a car. You know the car can move. Similar to our understanding of the warp drive now. We know it can work if we hit it hard enough, if we use it enough. So we get in our car, we're just going. Now, because we don't know exactly where we're going and we don't have a set location, we're going to need a whole bunch of extra things. We're going to need spare tires. We're going to need extra gasoline. We're going to need spare parts for the motor, because we're just going to keep going. Now, my version of this is knowing exactly where we want to go. and not needing to carry all of these extra parts. Hence, extra energy, which will not be required. Hence, making this more efficient, making it require less energy in total. Now, where this book comes into play is explaining and mapping out exactly where it is possible for the warp drive to go. Now, in our dimensional reference frame, the warp drive apparently has a lot of difficulty traversing. And the thing is, above a certain dimensional limit, which I shouldn't speak in these terms because I actually refer to a dimensional limit in the book, but for our sake, beyond a certain dimensional limit, which may be the third, fourth, fifth dimension, one of these very low dimensions, below the 10th dimension, we just can't comprehend. So we're stuck within our own reference frame. Whereas we can create tools and objects, hence a warp drive. We can create these things that can operate beyond our capability of sensory processing. So a craft that is warp capable, it's not going to be interacting with space-time in the way that we are used to interacting with space-time in terms of vehicular motion. We understand rockets to engage and interact with space, to move through it. We understand thrust. We understand thrust vectors. Now, this differs from a warp drive in that a warp drive isn't moving through space in the manner that a craft enabled with a rocket is moving through space. A warp drive has, going back to that analogy of the car facing a tangle of roads, this vehicle can take any one of these roads, whereas our rocket ship can only take one. One road will get us to our destination quicker than the other. And that is something that we've got to understand with this technology. It's really interesting. A lot of the physics that came about from this book, or from trying to understand how a warp drive will work, it's just phenomenal stuff. So, we've got interdimensional physics and hyperdimensional physics, and this science I term dimensional physics. Going back to that dimensional limit, there is an extreme dimension that exists out there that behaves in a quantized manner, that permeates all of space-time. This dimension, it is a proper dimension in that it contains axes of length, width, and so on and so on and so on, extrapolated. But this dimension, because it is such a high dimension, it contains so many axes of dimensionality, it is extremely dense and compacted. So with this, we have a dimension that has tremendous forces at work within it that cause it to kind of fold upon itself, but in this tubular manner. I'm a lot more excited about the warp drive than I am about a lot of the stuff that's going to be necessary to understand everything that's in this book. Hopefully when it's out, folks will be interested in it. But this is really more of a guidebook or a handbook into how we will achieve warp travel. And I'm extremely excited about it. I'm grateful and blessed to be able to have such a clear insight into the manner in which this is possible. So I will end the video here. Thank you if you've watched this far. Be excited and be curious and always stay exploring and leave no stone unturned. All right. Bye-bye.